Good afternoon and welcome to today's wealthmanagement.com webinar, Transitioning Your Broker-Dealer is Easier Than You Think. This webinar is sponsored by Affiliated Advisors. My name is Diana Britton and I'm the Managing Editor and Content Director for wealthmanagement.com, and I will be your host today. In a moment, I will be turning things over to our speakers, but first let me explain how you can get the most out of this event. To improve your viewing and listening experience, you can move your webcast windows around by dragging on the title bar or resize them by clicking on the lower right corner. At the bottom of your screen, you'll find multiple application widgets. Clicking on these icons allow you to open and close widgets on your screen, but will not remove you from the event. For today's webinar, there's a white paper available there in the resource list widget. Please note this webinar has been accepted for 1 CE credit hour towards the AEP designation program. Investments and Wealth Institute has accepted this program for 1 hour of CE credit towards the CIMA, CPWA, CIMC, and RMA certifications. Instructions for credit submittal are available on the resource list widget. We welcome questions about our topic and we'll answer as many as we can following the presentation, but feel free to submit yours to the queue at any time. Just type it into the Q&A window on the left-hand side of your screen and hit the submit button. Please also be aware that today's session is being recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing following the event today. Simply log in using the same URL that you're using now. Now let me introduce today's speakers. First, we've got Timothy Welsh, President of Nexus Strategy. Also, we have Tricia Qualley. She's the Managing Director of Affiliated Advisors. And thirdly, we've got Frank Chiotti, President of Precision Wealth Solutions. You can find out more information about our speakers by clicking on the speaker bio widget at the bottom of your screen. With that, let's get started. Tim? Floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Diana, and hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar today. We've got a fun, fact-filled session for you today, really talking about the latest and greatest in what's happening as the industry is evolving and changing through the years. My name is Tim Welsh, as Diana said, and my job here is to kind of walk you through some of the industry trends that we've seen. We've done some research. We actually wrote a white paper that you can download on the screen there. And we found out really what is driving this new trend towards switching broker-dealers or switching who you're working with, really because it's all about the advisor and your clients and how you want a customized experience that you're delivering to your clients. And with me today is Tricia Qualley from Affiliated. She's also been an expert at doing dozens and dozens and dozens of transitions, so she knows the ins and outs, and she'll provide us with some great strategies around that. And probably what I'm looking the most forward to is Frank. Frank is an actual advisor who just made a transition. So he can give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, ask any questions you want about his experience and really how it happened through his personal story, which he'll share with us today. So very much looking forward to that. And of course, we'll take your questions and we'll give our best attempt at answers and then tell you all about Affiliated Advisors and advisor support platform that's really making some very innovative approaches towards making the life of advisors much, much better. So let's dig into it. And so here's some great stats that we've been seeing here. And really, you know, this is not a new phenomenon. I mentioned there's more volume because clearly over half of advisors have made a change or considering making one in the last 5 years. So that's uptick quite a bit from the traditional amount because I think people thought it was, you know, it's hard to do. It's very rigid. It's a more difficult decision because there's so many moving parts. But I think with technology and the changes, it's much more frictionless today than it's ever been. And that's why we're seeing this volume improvement. And also, the payoff obviously is because, you know, advisors that do make the transition are experiencing a 30% growth in AUM. This comes from our good friends at Fidelity who research this and who map and see how these businesses are changing and growing from an industry-wide perspective. And I think that 30% growth in AUM really comes from unlocking the potential in many of these businesses. You've sort of been stuck, and now that you made a move, you've unleashed, you know, energy, and the ability to go out and really work with your clients, go find more clients, and really have a much better platform that you're working with. And that is why it's happening. Also, we do know that this thing called consolidation. I mean, every other day, it seems like you're reading a headline that one broker dealer is acquiring another. And what that means is that size is really becoming more and more important. And we'll break that down a little bit for you. There's obviously this challenging environment. That means that it costs more to do business. There's more regulatory things happening. I have to do this, I have to do that. And as a broker dealer, you need to keep up. And one way to do that is to get bigger. So you get that word called scale. And so we kind of broke these down into, when you hear these type of phrases in the press or from executives and speeches and so forth, a challenging environment really means code for keeping, for the big firms, getting bigger. They keep doing that because they're in pursuit of that second one called scale. And scale sounds great on paper. I mean, Econ 101 says, absolutely, go get those economies of scale. But when you do that, you tend to lose that personal touch that many of you have found when you started your business. Your boutique broker dealer that you had is no longer boutique. In fact, there's 7 other advisors with your same name because you're now part of a Goliath. It also means that they have to cut back in terms of that personal service. So we see the word scale, we equal that to declining service. And then size. Obviously, we're all pursuing, this economies of scale to get bigger and bigger. But again, that sort of loses that boutique environment that maybe you started with, and that what attracted you to that broker dealer in the first place. So those are all things that we're seeing towards this consolidation trend. Further research that we've done to really identify why are people moving? Culture is a word that gets used quite a bit. And as things change, as things get bigger, as they get less personalized, maybe that culture that really attracted you has changed and you want a better one that's more attuned to your type of business, the type of clients you want to work with. And the good news is that there's thousands of them out there. Obviously, we all want to make more money, and the competition for a good advisor has never been healthier. So absolutely, people are using the compensation channel as one reason to why they want to move. But ultimately, if you think about it, if you're going to be working with different folks, that culture is a very powerful contributor as well. We also see that, there may not be career opportunities for some firms. They're just, again, cutting back in terms of what you can learn, expanding your financial planning experience, working with alternative assets, becoming much more of a professional in terms of a financial advisor. A lot of those are reasons why advisors are leaving and moving. And that next one, grow your business. Organic growth is hard these days. We've seen it. Clients are aging, they're decumulating. The markets are not helping us anymore because they keep declining or they're volatile. And of course, it's just the referrals are not keeping up with what we used to see in the past. The independent advisor is now being copied by the big wirehouses, and therefore some of that messaging around fiduciary and independent and personalized is getting tailored up. So you need to work with a platform that really is tailored to what you're doing. And of course, you can't live by your operations alone. You rely on the home office. You rely on the infrastructure to get better servicing and being able to work with your clients in a much more responsive manner. That's a big reason why people are moving going forward. Those are just half the reasons. There's lots more reasons for moving well, and clearly technology is a driver. Digital tools for working remotely. Clearly the pandemic changed everything. Turns out clients are happier actually to work with somebody remote. They prefer a digital experience. So this is not all bad, and absolutely being able to work remotely opens up your business to client opportunities, prospect opportunities anywhere because you're no longer tied to an office. Clearly, you want to do a better job with your clients, and that's another reason why people are moving. We mentioned that technology because it's so important these days in terms of efficiency and being able to scale and grow your business. And of course, being able to engage with your clients and prospect in a much more better way, along with, hey, I don't want to have to work 45 hours every 3 days. What if there is a better opportunity for me in a work-life balance? All of these are the top 10 reasons why advisors are moving and why it's sort of accelerating the process going forward. And the other research we did talks about sort of what the inertia is, what stops you from doing this, and what are the opportunity costs of waiting. Clearly, if you're in a non-optimal situation, you're not growing your business, you're not happy, your clients are frustrated, your staff is frustrated, you want that business growth, and you're sacrificing it by not moving now. Every advisor you talk to made a transition and say, I wish I would have done it 5 years ago. So the best place to start is today, and think about how you can turbocharge your business going forward. Clearly, we talk about the staff. Retaining good staff is hard, And if they're working in a suboptimal infrastructure, service is clunky, technology is slow, there's lots of paperwork, that employee experience is also a big reason why you're sort of draining your business by not moving today. Obviously, clients, if they're not happy, they're going to leave. And ultimately, when all this is combined, your business value goes down. And I think the last one, of course, is, this used to be a great business. It was so much fun, but now this paperwork and compliance and roadblocks and competition is so much harder to do business these today that fun factor is something you're missing out on. And so that's why we see advisors more and more, as we mentioned earlier, making the switch to a new broker dealer. So in order to talk about how that makes it easier for you, I want to hand it off to Tricia, who spent a good part of her career helping advisors make these changes. And she's got a great list of things that you can do to be able to optimize your experience in this process.
Great. Thanks so much, Tim. I'm excited to be here today. As Tim mentioned, I've worked with dozens of advisors over the course of my career to help them identify reasons why to make a move and then figure out how to make the best possible move if they do choose to change broker dealers. I've compiled 10 tips that I've seen through and throughout each of those transitions, and I figured we'd start with number one, which is really, if you are an advisor thinking about making a move, I encourage you to define your needs. If you're going to make some type of move, there's really everything out there that you could move into, but you probably can't get everything in one place. And instead, think about what's most important to you and what's most important to your clients and prioritize those needs. By having those needs defined up front, you'll be better able to interview possible options and find the best possible partner for you if you're making some kind of switch. The second tip is to develop a pro forma. But even better than you developing this on your own is to ask a potential partner to share whatever pro forma they have within their files to showcase how their fees and costs and payouts work for your individual situation. If you put this on your potential partner, not only will you see what they can provide back in terms of service and what that experience might look like, but also you'll be able to have a look into how they handle transparency. It's true that some BDs and some partners out there might try to hide costs or overlook expenses. And if that's important to you, if transparency is important to you, looking at a pro forma that is provided by a potential firm can be very, very eye-opening. The third tip is to use an industry veteran attorney if you have any questions about contracts or potential legal situations that you might be in. During a transition is not the time to use your estate planning attorney that you might recommend for clients for their wills or trust needs. It's also not the time to use your sister-in-law who has, a legal background but knows nothing about our industry. You will be far better served by using an industry attorney to get the legal advice that you need to make a transition. Also, any promises that you have with a potential partner, I suggest getting those in writing and getting those in writing sooner rather than later. Often during recruiting conversations and thinking about making a transition, a recruiter or someone from the partner firm that you're talking to might be holding out something over a meeting, but without that in writing, it's very easy to have those promises either misunderstood or overlooked when your transition is actually about to begin. So getting a simple letter of understanding can be very, very powerful at the beginning parts of your conversation with a potential partner firm. Ensure your confidentiality by keeping your inner circle small and secretive. I was working with an advisor at one point who had done a pretty good job of keeping their circle small, but they had a staff person that unfortunately didn't quite get that memo. And the staff person at one point was in an elevator. And while in that elevator, they were talking about their transition and all the work that they were doing to prepare. And there was someone else in that elevator that perhaps the advisor would not have liked to overhear that conversation. So remember, it's not just about you kind of keeping things quiet and secret until you're ready to go, but also your team and any potential partners that you might be working with. Confidentiality in these situations is extremely important and not to be overlooked. Along those same lines, I encourage you to hire people that you trust. You may need to bring in some kind of temporary workforce to help you through a transition. For our example, we have a team in place to help advisors with transitions, and our team is really all hands on deck. So advisors coming on with us might not need that support. That's not the case for every single partner that's out there. And if you are looking at bringing part-time employees in to help with the transition, I do think industry experience is important, but if you're looking at contract employees or some type of temporary employee, the trustworthiness factor just might not be there. And if you do need to hire someone, you might be better off looking either at a spouse or a family member or someone local to your community that you can really trust if your partner firm isn't able to provide those transition services for you. I encourage you to think about your what ifs, and I like to think about what ifs on a spectrum. Most advisors go to the negative what ifs, and your thoughts might start to spiral about, what if my clients don't follow? What if something happens that will prevent me from making this move? And when your brain starts to go in that direction, probably late at night if you're a worrier, have it flip the other side as well and think about the positive what ifs that might come from a transition. What if your clients are really excited for you to make a move? What if the services that you can provide will be better and therefore help you grow your business? What if you're leaving a toxic environment that allows you to feel free like you never have before? Your reality will probably land somewhere in the middle of that what if spectrum, but don't allow your brain to just focus on the negatives and instead think about those positives and the opportunities that come from a move as well. Practice, practice, practice. And what exactly are you practicing? You're practicing the phone calls or the meetings that you're going to make with your clients. You will need to talk to your clients about why you're making this transition, why you're making this move. And your clients are going to follow you. I see that time in and time out, especially in the independent space where advisors are a little bit worried. The reality is your clients already likely trust you with their retirement. And so they're going to trust you with this decision, and they will know that you have their best interest in mind. By practicing those conversations that you'll have with clients, you'll be that much better prepared to have those great conversations come transition day. Who will you practice with? Maybe start by practicing with your team or the partner firm that you're going to be working with, but also try out those conversations with people that are maybe not in our industry so you can avoid unnecessary jargon or things that might seem important to you but really won't be relevant to clients. Then come transition day, you'll be that much more prepared to have those quality conversations and have the transition experience be positive, not just for you, but also for your clients. Remember that the media is your friend, and I love to think of transitions as marketing opportunities. We see this all of the time in other industries. This can be your chance to have an exciting press release or a new website, perhaps a new brand. Just changing your broker-dealers doesn't need to be the entire story. And think about all of the benefits that your clients are going to get and that you're going to get as an advisor with this transition. Those stories and those things can make great press opportunities, and pulling in media partners for you as a part of that transition plan can be really, really impactful. And finally, remember that client experiences are constantly changing. Clients, in fact, are used to change. If you haven't made a change in a while, it's quite possible your clients are wondering why. Think about Google. Does Google look the same way that it did 10 years ago or 15 years ago, or even 3 or 4 years ago? Experiences and institutions are changing at rapid paces, and so your clients can handle it. If you can handle the change, your clients will also be able to handle the change. And probably more than likely, they'll be very welcoming to that and excited for you and excited about the new experience that they're going to get. With that, I'm excited to turn things over to one of the advisors that we have on our platform. Frank joined us in 2021 and had a great transition, and he's going to share more about that. But with that, Frank, I'll have you join. He is the president and founder of Precision Wealth Solutions. We'll go over to Frank now.
Thank you, Tricia. Hello, everybody. My name is Frank Chiotti, as Tricia said. I've been an advisor for 23 years, and in February of 2021, my broker-dealer that I was with for 18 years was purchased by another broker-dealer. So at that point, it was either go to the broker-dealer that purchased us or begin to do some research on what was available. So once we knew we were getting purchased, we began contacting all our clients to let them know that we were getting purchased, and we'd be doing our due diligence on the broker dealer that was purchasing us, as well as other BDs that were available. That was in the beginning of February of 2021. By the end of February, we were pretty much well versed in what BDs were offering. So then we started to narrow it down. And as Tricia said, what's important to you? So what was important to us as advisors for ourselves and for our clients? And then pretty quickly, we narrowed it down to Royal Alliance with affiliated advisors. Through the entire process, as we were interviewing, getting information, we really felt that they were going to be the right fit for us and our clients. Fast forward, April of 2021, we were now have our offer letters, we're ready to go. We're ready to transition our book of business. So what's involved, or what was involved for us? So the first thing we did is we developed a plan, and it was pretty rigid. We stuck to the plan pretty closely. And in that plan, we basically took all our information, and I was already coming from an independent broker-dealer, and put it into DocuPace. Like this, when it was time to go live, that we were going to transition to a new broker-dealer, all our information was already in the system, and we can then proceed with going to get the clients the information to sign, to e-sign in order to bring over their accounts. So once we did that, then we were pretty well ready to go. So we got our offer letters done in April. May 19th, we resigned from our old broker-dealer. Why that day was important for us is tax day in 2021 was May 17th. So we wanted to make sure that any client tax data that they needed, we were able to get to them before we resigned. And through the entire process, we were talking to our clients, letting them know we're purchased, we're doing our due diligence. We did not tell anybody we were going to resign until the day we resigned, because we did want to keep it close to our vest, and we did not want to get into any issues telling clients we were leaving before we left. So then once we did resign and we were ready to go, the transition for us was pretty seamless, because first thing is, I want to give a shout out to affiliated advisors. Without them and without their support, it would not have been as efficient. The day we resigned, Rita Robbins, the president of affiliated, was in our office on the floor. And from when we resigned to when we went live to Royal Alliance, it was 1 hour, and our licenses were transferred over. There are other members of my old BD who resigned that they were down for 8 days before they could contact clients that their licenses transferred over and they could start the transition business. We had approximately 300 advisory accounts, another 100 brokerage accounts, and about another 100 direct business accounts, then some 401ks and alts. We were done, and within 2 weeks, the bulk of it was done. Within 3 weeks, we were 100% transitioned, and we moved over 100% of our advisory accounts. So if you're worried about what your clients are going to think, your clients are looking to you. They already trust you. So they're going to be excited that you're making this change for their benefit and for your benefit, because they want to continue to work with you. And if the technology is better, if the client process is better, they're going to really embrace it. And from where I was coming from to where we are here, everything worked out for us and the client. So it's been a win-win for everybody. And to this day, they still talk about it and how appreciative they are that we made the change for their benefit. And also coming to affiliated and Royal Alliance, it allowed us to bring back a former member of our team who had left because the former broker-dealer did not have the training in place, the technology in place to have him grow with us. So now he's been back for over a year, and it's been a great situation for all of us. So it took us approximately 3 weeks to be transitioned. I believe they give you about 90 days to transition. So once we transitioned our business, then we began to train on the platforms and the systems available. Like this, we could get back as quickly as possible to servicing our clients. Because when you are transitioning, yes, you are down. You're not seeing their accounts, so they come over. You're not able to really service them. So the quicker you do it and the more efficient you do it, the faster you can get up and running again and taking care of your clients. So if you're thinking about transitioning, do your homework, find the right fit for you, and make it happen, because there's so many better things out there than you probably currently have. And that was the situation with me. And then also a few other things that were mentioned prior. Get a securities attorney or an industry attorney to help you, to guide you, to make sure that whatever you are doing is in, I guess, the legal realm, is legal. You're not breaching any contracts with your old broker dealer, anything that could turn around and hurt you in the future. And I think that's really it. And then as far as growth and AUM, just to give you guys a ballpark, we have about a 40% growth. I can't say AUM because the market has not helped us, but as far as account growth. So we have a 40% increase in new accounts since we've come over. And the accounts that, as I said, we brought over 100% of our advisory accounts. Whatever we left behind is what we wanted to leave behind, because either we purchased a book of business and they were not the right clients, or clients that we felt were not going to be good. So I think that's it in a nutshell for me. So I will, at that point, turn it back over to
Frank,
Tricia.
maybe if you want to share just a little bit about your practice too, Frank,
Okay.
and how your kind of clientele, that would be great. Yes. We love your advisory practice, so take a minute to share some of that.
My practice is built on law enforcement. The majority of my clients are police, fire, and corrections, and I'm in Westchester County, New York. So in dealing with that type of clientele, you always want to make sure that you're giving them accurate information, that they're in the forefront of what's going on, because at the end of the day, those are the ones who are protecting us. So one of my slogans is helping protect those who protect us. So I wanted to make sure that I was getting the best situation for myself and for the clients. Like this, their experience is better, and I could provide them more services and products. Let me see. Yeah, so that's my main clientele is law enforcement. And also one other thing that I did want to touch upon was the training also. And like I said, when I brought my former advisor back on my team, it's the training that's available for products, for clients, for the technology through the portal, what the client can and can't access. From where I was coming from, we didn't have all this technology. Client accounts were opened by paper. It took 3 days to open an account. By the time an ACAT took place, it was probably about 5 days to get the process started. Where here, it's within the same day. As soon as you open an account, there's an account number, the client e-signs it, ACATs are generated, so it's pretty quick. And considering the clientele that I'm dealing with, they're used to everything being fast, fast, fast. Law enforcement doesn't want to wait. They don't want to, they want things to move quickly. And that's what's going on with me right now with my new BD and the affiliated advisor team. And that's it.
Great. Thanks so much, Frank.
You're welcome.
Tim, do you want to start with Q&A?
Sure, yeah. So Frank, the first one that came in, and maybe Diana, if you want to ask them as well, but what were the top 3 things you were looking for in a new broker-dealer? This is for Frank.
For me, number one was with the team I was going to be working with. So affiliated advisors was big for me. Technology was number 2, and then the client experience. What does the new broker-dealer have for my clients that they currently don't have? So that was those were the 3 main things for me.
I can jump in here now. Yeah, we got a few questions coming in. Another one for Frank. Did I hear Frank say he was choosing between Royal Alliance and affiliated advisors, or did he say he was moving from Royal Alliance?
I apologize. Royal Alliance is the broker-dealer. Affiliated advisor is part of Royal Alliance as well. They're my OSJ group. They're the team that I work with, or they work with me, so to speak. My OSJ is my compliance. They helped me through transition. They gave me a lot of the advice. So affiliated advisors is the team that I work with at Royal Alliance.
Yeah, and they're asking, also asking what were the reasons in favor of affiliate advisors over Royal Alliance, but maybe you just want to talk about what were some of the reasons you chose affiliated advisors?
Absolutely. Just the relationship as I was interviewing, that I felt that comfort level with affiliated advisors, the experience that they brought to the table, the amount of advisors that they've transitioned in the past. And I did know a couple of members of affiliated advisors from my prior broker dealer. And also I just felt that they were the right fit for me and my clients. And as I said, there was a member of affiliated advisor, Rita. She was here in our office the day we resigned from our old broker dealer to help with making sure the transition went smoothly, and also for morale, having a member of the team here. If there's a technology issue, she was on it, making sure our licenses transition, email, all those things that seem like they're insignificant are significant when you are transitioning. And all those things were done very smoothly, and that was thanks to affiliate.
Yeah, I mean, 3 weeks, that's pretty unheard of.
Yeah.
I don't know who wants to take this one, but how do you handle transitioning when you're leaving a firm with a non-compete?
That's not for me.
Yeah,
Trisha,
I can speak to that a little bit. And I think that goes back to, my advice on speaking with a security specific attorney, and really working with that attorney and your partner firm to create a strategy that will work for you. Advisors leave all different kinds of situations all of the time. So I wouldn't, think of that as something that you can't do, but you want to make sure that you're working with your attorney and your partner firm to do that in the right way.
That's great. And I know someone was asking earlier about, do you have any referrals to particular attorneys for transition advice? I'm not sure if you guys want to name specific names, but that's one of the questions that came in.
Yeah, I won't name specific names on the call, but if anyone is interested, please feel free to, I'll share my contact information at the end. Please feel free to reach out. As a part of our transition services, typically we'll set prospective advisors through advisor group up with a conversation with an attorney, and then I can help guide you in the right direction if you have specific questions. Really what you want to ask an attorney is if they've worked on something like this before, and if they've looked at contracts within financial services or advised potential clients about moving within financial services. And any attorney should be pretty forthcoming if they have that experience or if they don't. And if they don't, then they're not an attorney you want to use.
Yeah, and someone here is following up on the non-competes. If you've already left a firm with a non-compete, is it too late to speak with that securities attorney?
You've already left a firm with a non-compete. Is it too late to speak with that security? I would still, I think it's worth a conversation, and the attorney would really be the right person to answer that question for you. So I think it's always helpful, and time with attorneys about those kinds of things are worth the investment. I know none of us really like legal bills, but it will be money very, very well spent to make sure that you're getting the appropriate advice. Certainly, I think that's what we would recommend for our clients, is that you speak with professionals and get that professional advice. And so make sure you're doing the same thing for yourself and for your practice.
Great. Thanks, Trisha. Question here, is it customary when changing broker-dealers that the new BD will require a non-disclosure agreement before presenting their offer, or is that unusual?
That's a good question. I think every firm is different, and often non-disclosure, there might be some part of a non-disclosure within the offer itself, mostly because every offer is going to be different for individual advisor options. And so I think often if those non-disclosures exist, it's either it's proprietary information that they don't want publicly shared out, and likely more likely it's because an offer is created especially for you, and that offer shouldn't be shared with other individuals because every offer is unique. So I think if you are signing some kind of non-disclosure, of course, make sure that that works both ways. Any partner firm that you're working with should be respecting your confidentiality, and that should be kind of table stakes with any engagement that you're entering into.
That's great. Thanks. And I want to remind everyone, if you have a question, just type it into the Q&A window on the left-hand side of your screen and hit the submit button. Just keep those questions coming in. Another question here, do I need to worry about the broker protocol, and what exactly can I take or not take when switching firms?
Great. Tim, do you want to speak at that at all from kind of an industry perspective? Otherwise, I'm happy to handle this if you're not comfortable, either way.
Yeah, I don't like offering legal advice, but I think from a high level point of view, there was an agreement that many firms, that started way back when the wirehouses were suing each other, TROs, every time I took your broker, you took mine, and just the lawyers were getting rich. So they all agreed to come up with a protocol that said, okay, we won't sue you if you only take this type of information, which is typically, name, address, email. But of course, there's things called LinkedIn, and or Christmas card lists. So there's a lot of gray area here in terms of what information you can solicit, not take. I mean, you don't want to trigger any sort of legal action because that just ties you up, slows you down. Most of these are collaborative in nature. So, there is an approach to doing this. And I think, Tricia, you got that a great experience. So I'd love to hear your point of view as well.
Yeah, I think, again, that goes back to really coming up with a plan that's unique to your situation and that's going to look different for everyone. And also thinking about what your clients will be most receptive to. So I think, LinkedIn is a great strategy for some advisors, but might not be the most appropriate strategy for others. So think about, building a team for yourself for your transition. Your new partner firm will be a member of that team. A securities attorney will be a member of that team. You might have a tax professional involved to think about any tax implications that might come with a move. And having, your own team in place so that you can make the best possible decision for yourself. And happy to talk more specifically about that, if you would like to reach out after the call.
Thank you both. And, I know we talked about the time it took Frank, to transition clients, 3 weeks, but how much lead time is needed to properly prepare to change firms?
It took us approximately 30 days. We signed our offer letters, I believe it was April 9th, and then we resigned on May 19th. So approximately 30 days gave us the time to go through our transition calls with the BD and their transition team to get all our client data put into DocuPaste to make sure we're ready to go when we did resign, and to make sure all our client data was updated before we left. Emails, phone numbers, cell numbers, because we knew we were going to need that information during transition. So we were ready prior. We just wanted to make sure, because tax day that year was April 17th, that we made sure that we did not leave anything on the table that we couldn't access before we left. So, but 30 days, and that was plenty of time for us.
Yeah, I'll often tell advisors, if you have something going on and you need to join us next week, we can make that happen. But that's probably not ideal. I think an ideal frame is that 4 to 6 week time frame where you have enough time to be thoughtful about what you want that experience to look like for your clients. And at the same time, you don't want months and months and months of planning, because in a way, your business is a little bit on hold when you're in between situations. And so I think, your due diligence phase might take a few weeks as you're thinking about what options are out there. And then your transition strategy phase probably takes that 4 to 6 weeks time frame. And then if you've done a great job with both, those two preparation phases, your transition itself can often be pretty quick. Frank had a fantastic transition. You had amazing results, Frank, which is really a testament to the work that you and your team did and the trust that your clients have in you. And we see that often where the transition part goes really quickly and pretty easily because, you've done that legwork ahead of time. So whatever that looks like for you, your partner firms should be able to move very quickly if you need them to. But giving yourself that time to be thoughtful, you'll appreciate that as the transition actually kicks off.
Great, thank you. Thank you both. Question just came in here. You may get to the details, but does the clerical person who helps for a few weeks need to be fingerprinted, et cetera, for securities?
Yes, at least with our, with our BD, that absolutely is the case. Anyone that will be helping you with your transition, from a paperwork perspective, would go through the standard onboarding for either a registered or non-registered individual, fingerprinted, background check, all of that, so that they're able to fully help as needed.
Perfect. And here's a good question here. Maybe Tim, you can kick things off here. When evaluating the technology at my potential firm, what should I be looking for?
Well, everything these days is all about the digital client experience. So you want to make a point to look at what that client portal is. What tools do they have? Is it a digital workflow? Is it paper? Really, thinking through what is important in today's modern society. Do they have a mobile app? It's table stakes now for many of these digital tools to be there. That's sort of like on the front office. In the back office, you just definitely want to know how much workflow automation is there. Is it going to be me, switching screens, retyping data? Show me what your advisor workstation looks like. Give me a demo of how I can open a new account seamlessly. How do I, make these trades? How do I, resolve an issue with a client or money movements? I mean, the basic stuff you do every day. Get a look at it and see what it. And if it's not a better experience, then clearly that's not the right firm for you. But there's been so much innovation and elevation of the client experience and the advisor experience in the industry. And that's probably the number one reason why people want to move anyways, because their BD may be stuck in the past, legacy mainframe, issues all the time. It takes forever to do anything. The service requests never are responsive. So I think it's like maybe a pinpoint, 3 or 4 key aspects of how you work in your business every day, and get a feel for what that new experience will be like at your new firm. And odds are it's going to be better. I mean, just because of, you don't want to be a legacy provider in this industry. You want to be on the forefront because that's where the new tech is. That's where the new operational efficiencies lie. That gives you the scale, the capacity, and being able to do all that. And then maybe on the prospecting, the growth side, do they have an automated prospecting workflow for you as well? Can they help you close business? What does that look like in terms of being able to turn a prospect into a client, that onboarding process? I think those are like 3 critical areas. If you can really get a handle for what that new experience will look like, then I think that just tells you, yep, it's absolutely past due for us to move because we are still stuck with these old legacy tools. Or maybe this new platform is not really where we want to go because of that client experience, that advisor experience. So that would be my best advice.
That's great. Thanks, Tim. Question here. What is the typical competitive BD payout for a GDC of, I think it's 800,000 a year?
Yeah, I, again, happy to speak individually to anyone that would like after the call. What I'll say is payouts range really depending on advisor situation and what your product mix looks like. But more importantly than that, I think the question you should be asking is, what does the holistic kind of overview, and going back to that pro forma that I mentioned, ask for that so that you're not just focused on payout, but you're also looking at fees, whether that's expenses from the broker dealer or platform fees if you're using an advisory platform, because a firm very well might be quoting a high payout that you'll think you're getting from an override perspective, and then have a really high platform fee as well. And you should be thinking about that full picture as you're making a move and looking for your truly effective payout that you'll get on the other side. So a pro forma will help you understand all of those details, and a partner firm kind of put that in their court to make sure that you're understanding how all of that plays into an offer for yourself.
Perfect. And I think a question for Frank here. How important was transitioning financing to Frank in his decision? Frank, you might be on mute.
Apologize. So it was a factor, but it wasn't the most important factor in picking a broker dealer. But yeah, with transition finances, because I hadn't transitioned my business in 18 years, I was pretty confident in the plan that I put together and how long it was going to take, but I really didn't know how long we were going to be down and if we were going to be able to move 100% of our advisory clients and all the clients that we did want. So yeah, it was important, but it's not the most important factor, because at the end of the day, you're looking at how can I grow my business? How can I be more efficient? How can I make more money? So if just because one BD is offering you a higher transition finance, that can't be the end all, because then you might be limiting yourself on what's the overall growth and value of your practice down the road by picking the right BD.
Great, thanks, Frank.
You're
And another question here. Is there an easy way to compare BDs? There's so many out there. Where do you start?
I started with the independent ones, and also friends that I've had in the industry, because I've been doing this for 23 years. So I started there, and then I was able to eliminate a lot very quickly. Because when you're interviewing the BD and trying to make that decision, it's only about an hour, the initial call. So you can eliminate broker dealers pretty quickly if they're not the right fit for you, and start to narrow down your list. But yes, it might seem like a daunting task, but it's not. I had a board set up and would write the positives, the pros and the cons of each one, and just narrowing it down till finally we got down to 3, 2, and then eventually picking Royal. So yeah, it's not as daunting of a task as you may think.
Yeah, I'll say too, we have a spreadsheet of, if you're a spreadsheet person, we're happy to share that with you, with different metrics that you might be looking for. Because remember, what you're looking for, you should really think about your needs and what's most important to you. And I also say, think about your future self. So what will be most important to you 5 years from now? Because the last thing that you would want to do is make a move today to just realize that in 5 years, you're going to have to make another move. So think about your future self and try and make a decision that matches where you want to get and who you want to be down the line.
Perfect. Thanks so much. I think this question is sort of affiliated specific, but Frank transitioned 100% of his clients that he wanted, but what would you say is the average transition percentage?
From my perspective, in the independent space, it's often high, in the for sure 80s, if not 90s, in terms of really the clients that you're looking and wanting to bring over. That can vary a little bit if advisors are coming from a more captive environment. But even more captive environments, often there's other incentives that or make sense to make a move. And so if you're already independent, your clients, they're going to want to follow you. We say that time and time again. And if you're not already independent, think about the relationships that you're building with your clients. And do you think your clients value you as the advisor, or whatever name is on your business card? And my guess is, if you're on this call and if you're thinking about making a move, and if you care about your clients value you as their advisor. And if that's the case, your retention rate is going to be really high. Again, as I think many of us have said, your clients trust you with decisions for their financial matters. They're also going to trust that you're making a decision in their best interest for some type of move.
Great, thanks. And Tricia, just maybe you can give a little bit of an overview of Affiliated one more time. There's a question. Affiliated is a subsidiary of Royal Alliance, correct?
Yeah, great. No, I'm happy to clarify that. We are not a subsidiary. We are our own company. I'm an owner along with my 2 partners, Rita Robbins and Tom Ripberger. We have a team of 9 people, and we support about 100 advisors across the country. And so we are considered a managing executive office and a super OSJ within Royal Alliance. And so Royal is a preferred partner for us, absolutely, and a huge part of the services that we offer out to our advisors. But our advisors really see affiliated advisors as an extension of their practice and as a part of their team. And with that, kind of our sole and independent ownership, is a part of that overall value proposition.
Great, thank you. That helps a lot. How can I or should I get feedback from my clients as to whether or not they will follow me to the new firm?
It's a good question. Frank, you talked a little bit about, I think you might be able to answer this pre-conversations that you had, where you weren't talking specifically, but talking at a high level or generally. That might be helpful, for this question.
Correct. Well, we speak to our clients a lot to begin with, so we weren't really concerned if they were going to come with us. We were more concerned that they were going to get a letter that we were being bought and they weren't up to date on it. So once we knew we were going to bring them the information, that we're doing our due diligence on who's buying us, we're also going to do our due diligence on other firms, and they were very receptive. So we were not concerned. And to be quite honest with you, if they weren't going to come, then I'm okay with it, because that might not be the right client that I want to continue to grow with in the future if they're more concerned about the broker dealer than who we are and what we're looking to help them accomplish in the future. So, but yeah, the conversations were all positive, and the clients, especially because it's coming from you, I'm looking to do what's in our best interest, the client, the advisor, for our future relationship and how we can help you reach your goals. So when you present it that way, your clients are going to be very receptive to the conversations you're having with them.
Great, thanks, Frank. And yeah, again, I mean, it might be helpful for folks, to download that white paper that's in the resource list widget here. And another question: if I'm planning to retire soon, is there any use case or benefits for switching firms at this point in my career? It's a good one.
I'll take a stab at that, and I'd love to hear Frank's point of view, and also Tricia. If you're going to retire tomorrow, then no, probably not. But the opportunity for you as you think about your exit through your transition to your retirement, oftentimes if you do make that move a couple, 3 years ahead of time, that positions you even more optimally for being able to increase the business value of your business. So again, if you're stuck on legacy systems, you're not growing, there's no growth engine organically, or there's just slow service and your clients are not happy, that's going to bring issues to anyone who wants to purchase or acquire your business as you retire. So that could very well be the motivation for switching, is because you're going to retire soon, and this is your chance to paint your house before you sell it, or wash the car before you sell it. Having a modern, up to speed, heavy service, great response BD makes your business look even better. So I can definitely make a strong case for retirement being a driving force for why you'd want to make a switch. Tricia, Frank, your thoughts?
Expanding on what Tim said, one of the advisors here in my group is looking to retire in maybe 2 to 3 more years. So when we transitioned, we now have his succession plan in place. We have his book of business with myself on it. So like this, when he does retire, clients already see my name. They're used to speaking to me. It's not a huge shock to them. So yeah, it really is beneficial, because they, like I said, transition plans in place, something we tried to do at the old BD, but it just never was their priority as it was our priority. So once we transitioned, within 90 days of transitioning over, we had a succession plan in place for this advisor. So yeah, it can be very beneficial if somebody, yourself or on your team, is looking to retire. Then yeah, it will help if you do pick the right BD.
Yeah, I'll share, we have a separately published white paper about mergers and acquisitions and succession planning that I'm happy to share out to anyone that's interested. And we often see advisors that are, as Frank mentioned, 2 to maybe 5 years away from retirement, where they don't have a strong succession plan in place with their existing relationship. And so it's a driving factor to make a change, where we'll have solo advisors join with us, and our team becomes their immediate continuity plan. So if something were to happen to them, death or disability, our team would step in and then find a buyer after the fact and pay their beneficiary, those proceeds. So great emergency plan as a part of a transition. But more commonly, advisors have retirement in mind, but they're not ready to retire right away. And so they see our firm as an opportunity to join and start new, while having, the thought that 3 to 5 years down the line, our team and our support will help them find the right buyer. So I don't think it's a bad idea to move if you're retiring, and in fact, it can be a really good idea if you have someone that can help you with that retirement plan in place.
Yeah, thank you all. I know, something that Frank mentioned during his presentation is that he saw an increase in existing client accounts after making the move. Well, I'm afraid we're just about out of time here, but I'd like to thank our speakers, Tim Welsh, Tricia Qualley, and Frank Chiotti for an outstanding presentation. We'd also like to thank Affiliated Advisors for making today's webinar possible. Once you leave the event, a short survey will pop up in your browser window. We'd appreciate it if you would share your feedback on this event, so as it helps us to provide you with the content most interesting for you. On behalf of wealthmanagement.com, have a productive remainder of the day.